Hello everyone. Good morning. Let's wait for 2 more minutes. Let other people join, and then we'll get started. Hope I'm audible. Okay, perfect. So let's start in 2 minutes. Let others also join. Okay, let's get started. So before we move on, right? So I'll quickly brush up the what we learned, on Friday. So we learned about Pandas library. So I will just quickly brush up what we learned and then move on to the other functionality. Then we'll start the new topic for today's. So before that, anybody has any kind of queries, whatever classes we have done so far, this is like now 2 weeks are done. So, do you guys have any queries, any questions from the previous classes? You can clarify right away. No questions? Everything is clear? Great, you guys must be very smart, then you don't have bit of numpy. Okay, so what I can do is, so like then entire revision will go off track a little bit. So what I can do is I will keep a note, and whenever I feel maybe tomorrow's class or day after tomorrow, whenever we will have more time, that time I will revise. Okay, or maybe when we'll be summarizing, right, that time I will uh, give more examples about NPI, because if I start today it will be a bit out of track. So I'm asking if you guys have any particular question, particular queries, particular thing you are not able to understand topic, that we can clarify right away. Okay, no, everything sorted. Cool, then let's get going. Let me share my screen. Can anybody, somebody confirm that my screen is up? Okay, perfect. So yeah, so what we learned was pandas on Friday, right? So pandas, it is a library specifically for heavily used for data frames, right? So we learned a lot of data cleaning steps. How do we fill, null values? We learned all those, heavy data pre-processing and data analysis steps, right? So we learned how do we merge two data frames, how do we create data frames, so what is individual series. So if you pick only one column of the data frame, you call it as series, right? Then we learned that how can we extract using location and index location thing. So what is the difference between the two? So location is if you have any particular row names, right, or column names that you can give, but index location is position if you have to give. So you can count starting from 0 because in Python index starts from 0, and then you can tell what it was position, which number of row or which number of column you want to get. So that's how you can give, right? Then we learned how we can do the group by function, correct? So group by, as in if you really want to pick summary for some particular group, isn't it? So let's say for one particular group, categorical group, you want to know what is the mean or average for that particular statistics, you can do simply doing a group by. And in group by also we learned there are multiple kind of function. One is aggregation, wherein you are just summarizing everything in one single thing. So for example, averaging ho gaya, addition ho gaya, counting ho gaya, all these are aggregation steps. Then we learned transformation. So transformation as in we are transforming each and every record. So we are not summarizing in everything, but we are transforming. So for example, filling null values, right? So filling null values, let's say if I have 100 records and I have, let's say, 100 records from 5 different teams, correct? So I will have 20 records. Assume that everything has, it's equally distributed. So for every team, I will have 20 records. So I'm not going to summarize. So if I will aggregate it, I will just have only 5 records at the end, because I have 5 different groups. So I might have average, let's say, weight of the team or average age of the team, right? So that will, I will have one single number for entire group. That is what aggregation. However, transformation is, let's say if I want to fill null values using the mean of that group. So that is transformation. So therein you can, define your function and simply do the same thing, just that instead of aggregation, you will use transformation function, correct? Then you have filtering also. So filter also you can do based on certain group, right? So all these things we discussed. Then we learned how do we, merge, join, and concatenate. So what is the major difference between a concatenation and a merging? So if you really want to join with respect to a key, so for example, in a table you have student name and student id, and for another table you have student id and student marks. So you have a common key. You cannot just blindly stack two data frames horizontally or vertically, right? It has to match, because a student, let's say my name, right? So I have to get my roll number intact with my marks, right? It should not be like you can randomly put somebody's marks, somebody's roll number, right? Because there is a common key, correct? So that's where you use merge using a key, right? Whereas in concatenation, we learned that simply, let's say if you want to append. So for example, marks I'm writing, and imagine it is going in for loop. So which means that I just want to stack it vertically, isn't it? Row wise, I have to stack. So which just means vertically I have to stack. So you can use concatenation function. Similarly, if you want to stack horizontally, you can just put two data frame and horizontally concatenate. So there is no common key in that. You just have to make sure that size of the two data frame is same, the way you are stacking, correct? So for example, if you are stacking vertically, so number of rows in both the things has to be same. Similarly, अगर आप vertically stack कर रहे हो, तो number of column has to be same. Otherwise, it won't stack, right? You imagine कि आपका, अगर आपके नीचे बेस में 4 books रखा है, और अगर आप उसके ऊपर stack करना चाहो 6 books, is it possible? I mean, if these are of equal size, it's not, right? You have to stack 4 books only over the 4 books, correct? So likewise, you can think. Okay, so that was the major difference between merging and concatenating. And joining, as I said, if you know these two, joining is not really required. It's just the doing the same thing with other functions. That's all. It doesn't give you any additional functionality which other tools does not have. Okay, so in this also we learned there are 4 kind of joins: inner join, left join, right outer join, and full outer join. So as you can see over here, right, if let's say you have two data frames, one will be your left side and another is right side. So whatever you define first, that's your left. Whatever you define last, that's your right data frame. So you can define, there is an argument called how. If you say inner, which means that only the common entries will come. If you say left outer join, which means that only all the entries which is there in the left will come. If let's say there are entries which is not there in left and are there in right, those entries will not come. Okay, and if it is vice versa, if there are some entries which are only in left but not in right, so it will come, but whatever columns you are getting from the right, there will be all null or NAs. Okay, Vice versa, if you want to give right outer join, मतलब right का सारा data आएगा. Full outer join मतलब दोनों data frame से पूरा data आएगा. So if let's say something is there in one data frame and not in other data frame, you will get null records against it. Okay, so you have to be careful what kind of join you want to do. It depends on your use case. Okay, any questions so far? We did a quick recap. Then I will move on to the next other functionality. No doubts? Okay, perfect. Then we learned about how we can deal with dates and time using pandas. Okay, so using pandas, simply there is a this date range command function is there in pandas itself, pt.date range, wherein you can define your date, where you want to start, and give periods and the frequency. So frequency as in whether hourly basis you want, daily basis or weekly basis, and period मतलब कितने data frame चाहिए. So as you can see here, if you run this, you will get 10 records because you asked for 10 periods and it is on hourly basis. So that's why you see over this date, by default, it will start with 12, right? Then it gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m. So like that, it gave you till 9 a.m. because you've selected the frequency hourly. Similarly, you could have selected on daily basis, you could have selected weekly basis, all annually. Okay, so likewise, you can get a date range of that. So where it is useful, so let's say you already got the records but somehow you don't have a date column over there and you need that information. You know that this data is for entire year, there are 365 records, but somehow there is no date column over there. So you can simply add a date column saying it started with this, frequency is 365, and then you can say it's annual data, like daily data you want, right? So you will get daily date for 365 records starting with a particular date, whatever you give. Okay, then whatever you are getting, right, you can get what is the month and year for that, like these things you can get. Okay, so it is a feature which can be divided into two categories. The first one, moment, is a period, and second, the time passed since a particular period. These features can be useful to understand the pattern in the data, right? So you can get pandas.series.year. So let's say if you have given a date but you are only interested in years, right? You want to subset, you want to ignore date or month, you are just interested in which year what happened, right? Because think like that, in analysis most of the times you are actually aggregating the data, right? Let's say I mean, to give you example, take the same example which we took most of the time, retail car. Okay, so let's say you are going for a shopping, okay, and they want to analyze that what all you buy. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to do the analysis on daily basis, right? Let's say if you are buying something seasonal, you can aggregate it, you can get the analysis on monthly level also, or you can do the analysis at yearly level also, correct? So in that case what will happen, you have got a date column but you have to, sometimes you just have to get year of that and analyze for that, right? तो आप क्या कर सकते हो, simply उस date से year extract करोगे and then we'll do a group by on yearly basis, isn't it? You will aggregate everything on a yearly basis. Similarly, it could be monthly basis analysis, right? That एक particular month में लोग कुछ चीजें ज्यादा खरीदते हैं, राइट? जैसे समर सीजन्स होते हैं, समर्स होते हैं, विंटर्स होते हैं, मे बी समर्स में कोल्ड ड्रिंक्स एंड आइसक्रीम्स ज्यादा सेल होगी, राइट? दैट इज obvious because we know, right? But you have to validate it with respect to data, and you can do that, correct? So these things you can get these things are where these library is heavily used. That let's say if you have got a date column, you can get, simply do date dot year, you can get year of it, you can get month of it, you can get day of it, hour, and even minute also. Okay, so let's say you have given this, and then from this you simply do date year, date month, you will get all these things. Okay, cool. Then let's say you have got something, I mean, you were already there were date column, but somehow, as I was telling you, right, you do the file conversion or file transfer, csv से excel में डाला या फिर आपने sql से data download करके लिया, तो somehow it lost the format. Okay, you will have to do the formatting. So how you can do it, let's say there was a date column, and you know somehow it is not coming as a date in Pandas when you read it, right? In Python, it is coming as some object, string or number. What you can do is you can simply convert, say, that column name to date time. That's all. That is the only thing you have to do for the conversion. Okay, so we learned about data type conversion, right? अगर कुछ न्यूमेरिकल है तो उसको स्ट्रिंग में करने के लिए there was a function called as type, and you select that column and do dot as type and give whatever you want to convert. If it is a numerical, then say from object you want to convert, then you can say dot string or dot character, whatever is the format. You can just check it out. But that's how you do the date time conversion, similar to that. Okay, cool. So likewise, you have the data, you have read the file. So as you can see here, there is the city column, colors reported, shape reported, state and time. Okay, so in time, let's say it was not in a proper format, you can simply do df time pd to date time and just give that column. That's all. So to get the column, there are two ways. So one is this, right? You give square bracket and give the column name. Other thing is, in fact, you can do df and give this dot, and then also you can give the column name. So these are both the ways. So both ways are right. You can choose whatever you want to select that column. Okay, so here you have put it, selected this column, converted into datetime and put it back again. So you have not created a new column, you have just uh, uh, you know rewritten that. So as you can see here, earlier this was format like this, but now it is a formatted in a standard Python format. And as you can see here, अगर आप data types करोगे तो you can see type is date time. Earlier it was object if you do here. Okay. Cool. Then you can get your date, hour, and all these things. Week name. In fact, you can give weekday name also. Sunday था, Monday था, all these things. क्योंकि बहुत बार होता है. There are certain things which is very particular whether it was a weekend or not, right? Whether it was a weekday or start of the week, end of the week, mid of the week. So that's why you may have to do day-wise analysis also. Like, so whether it was a Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like that. Okay, cool. Then Pandas working with text data. So let's quickly look at that also. So with Pandas library, you can not only work with the just numerical column, but you can work with the textual column also, right? So what are all these things? Basically, like we already know this function, right? Let's say if you have got some data set and you know that that's character, right? But so you can directly do df that column name, do the dot lower. But what happens, sometimes you may get error that it is not a right format. So that's why it is always preferred that you give string first. Basically what we are doing here when we put two dots, so this first operation is performed and then this second operation is performed. So likewise, let's say if I put another function, so it goes in from this order. Whatever is written first, that will be implemented. So you can assume there is a invisible brackets, right? So सबसे पहले क्या हो रहा है, ये string में convert हो रहा है. Dots str मतलब I converted this column into a string. Okay, so I converted this into a string and then I am converting into a lowercase. Dot lower means I am converting into a dot lower. So now as you can see here, it has converted into a lowercase. So likewise you can convert it. But first of all, you have to convert it into a string like this. Okay. Similarly, आप str dot upper कर सकते हो. So this lower and upper is there. Okay. Then you can split also. There is something called str dot split. So what it does is, as the name suggests, it simply splitted your data. How it did it? Simply str split method can be applied to a whole series. Okay, and so in order to similarly there is a str replace. So let's see what it does. Okay, so let me show you this entirely. Okay, cool. So let me save it into another column instead of replacing it so that we can see. Okay, there is some error. What is this error? Okay, let me do one thing. Let me first do run this. So this is my DF. Okay, let me. So it is giving some error. What is this error? Columns must be same length as key. Okay. So what I'm doing is df address str split expand equal to true. Okay. So string. Okay. Let me give it another try. What is this df? So df is this name, edge, address, qualification. So what we are trying to do is we are trying to split this address column as a separator. So this is a separator. So wherever there will be a, it will split. Okay. So wherever it will see a, it will split small a. Okay. So that's what I'm doing here. And let me do one thing. Let me just remove these two things and try giving this. Okay. It worked. So as you can see here, it has splitted this address column, and now earlier it was Nagpur and all, right. So instead of A, it has just used it as a separator, and it has created two groups. NA Kanpur ke liye two groups. Again here it was a four group because there were one, two, three times A, right. So it has kept all these things and it has done. Now earlier why it was not working, let's try to understand that. Okay, so how do I, so now this is again a good example. How do I resolve if I'm getting? So what I will do is first I will try to go simple. Okay, so simple means जो भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, I am not sure about all these arguments, as I said, right. I may not know each and everything. So I have zero idea about these arguments, what these things do. I only know about this argument कि splitting split करता है and then you have to give separator. So I read this and I ran it. So it's working. Now let's see what is this if I put n equal to 1, just that. So will it work or no? But उसके लिए क्या होगा? I will have to run this again because I have already splitted it, right? So let me try this out. So yes, it has worked. So n equal to 1 is not the problem. Okay. So and for that, what we can do is, in fact, we can search str.split also and read the documentation of it. Or I could have read it from here only. Str split pe, what I have to press shift tab. So shift tab se help open ho jata hai. Sometimes it may take some time. So you can wait. Or let's say if it is not opening, you already have a Google. So you can do str split. तो आपको मिल जाएगा already. Okay. So यहाँ पर आप देते हो separator देते हो and then max split देते हो. How many split it can do? So if I was giving 1. So in that case, okay, that was the difference. So here, as you see, मैंने maximum split 1 दिया था. So that's why Allahabad is now split it into only two pieces. Earlier, if you remember, it split it into 4 because there were two more A's also. So that's the thing. If you want to just to be splitted only once, which means that only two groups you want to create, that thing you can give like this. Now it was failing if I give this, right, expand equal to true. Let me try that out again. Yeah, so if I give expand equal to true, it is giving error. So let's try to understand what is this expandness, right? So here it is not given. Let me search some other tutorial. As I said, right, I see sometimes functionality, all functionality are not really important. So that's why you may have to, you may not find so easily the examples for that. But that doesn't mean that they won't exist. You will find them at least. This pandas ke andar to you will get it because that's where the original thing, right? So that's your original written tutorials. So here you have it, this thing, right? So what does it do? It takes true and false. So true and false is return data frame multi-index expand dimensionality and return series containing list of list. So default is false. Okay, so what it is doing now, if you see, अगर मैं इसको true करती हूँ तो it returns a data frame and multi index expand dimensionality. So that is, I think this is the error what it is giving. It's saying that column must be of same length as the key. Okay, so it might be happening that when it try to expand now, these are not of the same what do you say, same splits or something. That's why it is getting error. Anyhow, your purpose is getting solved even though you don't want this expand, because I mean, as I said, right, you just want to split it and you want to put it into a list, and that's what it is getting already solved with this. Okay, so you may not even have to use this particular thing, right? So that's how you can, do the splitting using a separator and give maximum number of split. Okay, similarly there is a replacement also, str dot replace. What it does is simply आपको देना पड़ेगा, उसमें दो आर्ग्यूमेंट देने पड़ेंगे minimum, what you want to replace and what you want to replace with. Correct, क्योंकि replacement में there is two things, right? Think logically, आपको क्या चीज रिप्लेस करनी है और किससे रिप्लेस करनी है. तो these two things you will have to give for the replacement, so that would work. So for example here, in each column you want to replace 25 with this 25. So wherever you see age 25 number, it has been replaced with 25. Okay, cool. Then you have concatenation of data, so that you can do a concatenation of two columns. So let's say you have two categorical column and you want to concatenate it. That you can do, or you can simply do name right over here. So what you are concatenating here is str.k.new separator is this. So basically what you did is you created a new data frame actually, and as you can see here address column ka that you have done, and simply आपने उसको add कर दिया. So you are telling कि name में address भी add हो जाए by simply comma. So that's what you are getting here. Okay, so you can string columns, you can do replacement, splitting, concatenation, right? Uh, Removing white space, so these things we can do. Strip, so str.strip क्या करता है, simply आप column दीजिए और उसको strip कर दीजिए, new.str strip, that's all, and save it into the same thing or wherever you want. So strip, it replaces the white strips from both the side, trailing and leading. In between it doesn't do, because that is not the white space, right? हमको बीच में से space नहीं हटाना है, otherwise it will change meaning of the things. What we want is start of the thing, because this is useless and the end में useless है. तो we just do the stripping of start and end. तो अगर आपको पूरा स्ट्रिप करना है तो यू जस्ट डू str strip. इफ अगर आपको सिर्फ राइट साइड का स्ट्रिप करना है देन डू r strip, और सिर्फ लेफ्ट साइड का करना है तो l strip. Okay, so it just stripped out the white spaces. Then you have extracting the data, so that also you can do, right? Str extract. So it this function accepts a regular function, so we already learned about regular expression. So you can give regular expression with one capture group, and if you do the extract you will be getting the pattern. So it is similar to that only, right? Re.compile, re.match functions we did now, we learned about regular expression. Same way you can implement this also, str extract, and give the regular expression pattern. It will be giving you values out of it. Okay, fine, and you can read about it, there are many more. So is alpha means you can give a string, and let's say if you want to search, so we use a lot, as I was telling you, right? We have created an automated way of extracting information from invoices, right? So using, let's say the simple example could be, I implemented a regular expression कि जहां भी invoice date आए उसके बाद वाला term ले ले, that is my date. Correct. Now the way to check whether it is a date or not, I can check whether it is alpha or not. So ideally if dates are there, there has to be number, isn't it? So मेरा is alpha है, that should be false. So that's how you can check whether whatever values you are getting, whether it is valid or not. let's say there are some certain values कि जहाँ पे सिर्फ letters होने चाहिए, there should not be any numbers, isn't it? So that way you can check str is alpha, right? So str contains, you can check कि whether it contains some hyphen, some dash, because date में at least hyphen होगा या फिर dot होगा या फिर forward slash होगा, right? That's how you write date. You cannot write date without these things, correct? Ideally. So likewise, you can check whether str contains that or not. Otherwise, you can say that it is not valid date. Correct. Str dot is digit hai. Like phone number mein, it has to be all digits, isn't it? Likewise, you can check all these functions are available. Okay. Then moving along. So we already know how to we read CSV, right? So there is direct this read underscore CSV command which we used, right? So we already have this index column where you can select any column name and make it as an index name, right? That you can do. Okay, then the last, not the least, is this XLS writer. Okay, so there is not only CSV but read XL you can do, right? And if you want to write it back, that also you can do. So very simple ways you can just do two CSV. So for example, आपको मान लीजिए ये data frame save करना है, all you have to do is just df dot to underscore, you can press a tab and you can see the options. Okay, so it's showing CSV, dictionary, Excel and all, right? So you just say CSV bracket, give the file name. So just test dot CSV. Okay, and just run it. So now you open the folder wherever this notebook is, your this particular thing is saved. So for example, if I go here, right, so you see this test file is created just now. So likewise, you can save your data frame as well. You see, likewise, it has already saved. So by default, it will save the index. But if you don't want to save index, you could have just said index equal to false. It will not be saving this index. Okay. Similarly, there was an Excel file also. You could have save in Excel also. You can read Excel file also. All these permutation combinations you can do. Okay. So with that, we have completed Pandas library also. So we will just let's quickly go through the complete blog, which I really find interesting. So it will be just a quick revision also again for Pandas library, right? So what are Pandas for? We already know, right? It mostly for the data frame using, right? So wherein we use all these things. Then when you should use it, so wherever you have to deal with the data, right, and it has built on top of NumPy, then that's the reason it has many more functionality than that, and that's why it is mostly used, right? Then how do you install and all, everything is there. So then we learned you can add two series and get the data frame, right? You can simply concatenate the two data frames and get a data frame, right? Then how you can create from dictionary, you can create, right? So all these things we already know. How to read data, simply read a CSV you can do and read the data. Okay, reading data from JSON file. So when we talked about different data file formats, right, we also talked about JSON file. Basically it's nothing but kind of a dictionary wherein you have your column names and then you have further detail. So you can actually read data from JSON also. So you can simply do read underscore JSON and read the JSON file. Sorry. You can also read data from SQL database directly. So all you have to do is just set up a connection to SQL, because think like that, right? How SQL works. How do you open or handle work with SQL data, right? आप open करते हो SQL का, या तो आपके पास install हो SQL management system, or you open on cloud, then you give your credentials, right? You give the link, you tell the data name what you want to open. So likewise, all these things you have to give. You have to tell what is the DB you are trying to connect with your connection details or keys, and then you set up a connection, right? So once the connection is done, you can simply give the query. So like we do in SQL, right? If any of you have read about SQL, that's fine. If not, then also it's fine. It's just a tool to store your data, that's all. अब उस डेटा से आपको डेटा एक्सट्रैक्ट कैसे करना है, देयर इज अ डिफरेंट लैंग्वेज फॉर दैट, वी कॉल्ड एसक्यूएल. So it's again a different topic, so I'm not going there, but I'm just telling you. I mean it's very simple. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मान लीजिए आपको पता है एक परचेसेस करके एक डेटा फ्रेम है, उससे आपको रिकॉर्ड्स निकालने हैं. यू कैन सिंपली डू सेलेक्ट स्टार, मतलब it will give you all the records. If let's say you just want interested in top 5, top 10, that also you can do, select top 5 from this table, that's all. So you read SQL query, you can give within this, and you have to tell the what is the connection name, and that's how you can read the data using Pandas library. Okay, then you can again convert back, right? We just learned 2 CSV, so you can do 2 CSV, save into a CSV, 2 JSON, 2 SQL, again you will write back. Okay, then what are the most important data frame operations? So we already know head and tail, just to check the data frame top records and the bottom records, right? How you can do the info to know about all the data. It will tell you how many rows are there, how many columns are there, right? How many non-null objects are there, null objects are there. So likewise, it has all these information. What is the data type of each and every column, right? Int 64, float, object. So you likewise you can know okay, whether it is fine or not, or you need some kind of a data conversion. So data.info and data.describe are two operations which you have to have whenever you have read some data, right, and you want to get a full statistic. तो ये दो operations तो use होते ही हैं. Okay, cool. Then this info say you can get shape will tell you what is the size, like number of rows and number of columns. Handling duplicates. So handling duplicates, already I told you there is a way, like you can check drop duplicates, or you can check, simply drop duplicates. It will tell you how you want to drop, right? Whether you want to keep first one or last one, like that you can say. तो अगर आप में जितने भी duplicates हैं, it will simply duplicate drop them. Okay. If you use in place true, it will modify the data frame itself. So either you can write like that, आप drop duplicates करो and वापस से data frame में save करो, or you can simply write temp drop duplicates in place true, मतलब it will replace the existing data frame. So it's both ways are fine. You can write whatever you want. So simply यहाँ पे भी arguments है, first है, last है, false है. तो अगर first है तो आपको first occurrence रखना है, last है तो last occurrence. False मतलब दोनों को drop कर देगा. तो it will not keep any of the duplicates record. तो up to you what you want. Right? आपको first रखना है, last रखना है, या कोई भी नहीं रखना है. Okay. Likewise you can check, then column cleanups होता है. Likewise you can check what are the column names, simple data frame से, right? You can rename them. तो rename में आपको dictionary देना पड़ेगा that what is original and what you want to change, right? So for example पहले ये था आपके में revenue millions थे and runtime minutes था. तो आपको इससे रिप्लेस करना है, रन टाइम मिनट को सिंपल रन टाइम में करना है, रेवेन्यू मिलियन को इस तरीके से करना है. तो now your column name has changed. So all you have to give is your old column name to a new column name. That's all in a dictionary format. Okay. Then you can use these kind of a comprehension, list comprehension. So we learned about this when we were learning about loops, right? अगर आपको कुछ simple operation perform करना है तो you can do these list comprehensions. तो what it does is simply ये वाला अपन देख लेते हैं. तो like for example अगर मैं इसके df column names करती हूँ, columns करती हूँ, right? It's a list and I can see कि ये capital letters में है. Let's say I want to convert them all in uppercase. How I can do is simply because you think like that it's a list, right? आपको एक for loop में चलाना है. तो what do I mean is आप ऐसे देखो, अगर I मानती हूँ मैं इसको I for I in df columns. So what does it mean? What it will do? It will simply iterate over all these letters, right? Name, age, address, qualification. Now simply अगर मुझे इसको upper में करना है तो what I will do is I dot upper. That's all. So you see now it has converted. So what I did here is इसको हम लिस्ट कॉम्प्रिहेंशंस बोलते हैं. तो अगर आपको सर्च करना है, इफ यू हैव एनी कंफ्यूजन, जस्ट सर्च दिस लिस्ट कॉम्प्रिहेंशन ऑपरेशन, दैट्स ऑल. तो आप सिंपली फॉर लूप को एक लाइन में लिख सकते हो. तो what it does is very easy to understand. I want to iterate for I in this list. Now what I want to do with I, you can just write it over here. So it will perform that operation and save it in a list. That's all. Clear list comprehensions? Okay, hopefully it's clear. Then how do we work with missing values, right? So we already discussed. आप पहले check कर सकते हो is null करके कि how many are there. So you can do sum also. It will tell you total how many are missing. Row wise and column wise also you can get by simply giving x is equal to 1 and 0 like that. So it is telling you for each column how many are missing, right? How you can handle with them simply by ड्रॉपिंग ऑल्सो यू कैन गिव कि अगर सब में ड्रॉप मिसिंग एन है ऑल कॉलम्स देन ओनली ड्रॉप और एल्स अगर एक में भी है तो ड्रॉप हाउ यू कैन गिव दैट हाउ यू वांट टू ड्रॉप इट राइट रो वाइज कॉलम वाइज हाउ यू वांट टू चेक okay. And if you want to impute, we call it imputation. If to fill the missing value with some value, we call this process as imputation. Okay. So it's a feature conventional feature engineering technique. तो अगर आपसे कोई पूछता है कि if you know feature engineering, so you can say yes, because all these things whatever we are doing, right, checking the data type, making sure it is in a right format, checking for null values, checking for outliers, treating them, all these things comes under feature engineering or data pre-processing or data analysis also. All these things are interrelated, right? So you can say for sure that you know all these things because all these things comes under data analysis, and that's the first step towards a data science journey. आपको पहले डेटा एनालिसिस आना चाहिए, डेटा क्लीनिंग आना चाहिए, डेटा क्लीनिंग भी बोलते हैं इसको हम. आपको पहले डेटा क्लीनिंग आना चाहिए, डेटा एनालिसिस आना चाहिए, देन ओनली यू कैन मूव ऑन टू द मॉडलिंग साइड ऑफ इट. ओके, कूल. So that's how you can impute. Simply say fill NA, give the value, and just in place true मतलब revenue को replace कर देगा वो. Likewise you can check, it will be change, just doing this. Then you also learn describe. It will tell you statistics of your numerical column and categorical column both. Okay, then we also saw this value count. मतलब simply it will count जितने भी categorical columns है कितनी बार आए हैं. तो for example अगर आप genre check कर रहे हो तो एक्शन मूवी कितने थे, ड्रामा कितना था, कॉमेडी कितना था, तो ये जॉनर में जितने टाइम से आया होगा उसको काउंट कर देगा. वैल्यू काउंट, सिंपली इट विल काउंट द वैल्यू ऑफ दिस पर्टिकुलर टर्म. ओके. Hello, I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Can anybody confirm? Okay. Sorry, I did not realize when I was logged out and I was not even sure. Can somebody tell me what was the last thing I was like you guys hear from me? Uh, Let me share my screen. So I was going through this block, right? So did I so I was talking about correlation metric. So this correlation metric was covered or not? So did you hear completely about correlation metrics? No? You did not hear anything at all about correlation metrics, or like I just started and then I got dropped off? Okay, nothing at all. Cool. How about value counts तो पढ़ा हुआ था ना, or that also was missing? Describe and value counts. Yeah, hello. Yes, there was some power fluctuation, so it occurred again, but now it's fine. Now there should not be any problem. So I was just saying that I will start over. So just one request for Bharat or Amar, if you guys are hearing, whenever I got dropped out, right, just give me a call so that I realize it and I just stop it there and rejoin. Okay, cool. Fine, let's get started. So yep. So we were here about correlation metric, right? So what it does is there is a function called data.cor. So let me give you example through example. Let me tell you. So in this data.cor, what happens is data.cor you can do. That's all. So it gives you this correlation metric. Now what this correlation metric is about? Let me show you something. Data.info. So first of all, this correlation metric is about the numerical columns. Okay, तो as you can see here info में जो भी object है वो नहीं आएंगे, only numerical columns like numbers, age, weight and salary. Only these numbers are there. Because what does it tell you? It tells you how your two columns are strongly correlated. Okay, so it tells you that how two columns are strongly correlated, what kind of relationship they have, and that's what it gives you. So as you can see, number ka number say, first of all you will get this diagonal metric of your columns, right? So whatever is your numerical column 4, so you will get 4 cross 4 matrix. It will be a square metric always, जिसका कि डायगोनल टर्म 1 होगा. Why? सिंपल रीजन, नंबर का नंबर से रिलेशनशिप 100% होगा. करेक्ट? मेरा आप nobody knows better than you, right? तो that's what it is. मेरा खुद से रिलेशनशिप 100% होगा. तो इसलिए एज का एज से 100% है. एंड इफ यू पे अटेंशन, इट इज अ मिरर इमेज. या तो आप लोअर ट्रायंगुलर मैट्रिक्स देखो, लोअर ट्रायंगुलर मैट्रिक्स मतलब ये, या फिर आप डायगोनल diagonal के उस साइड का देखो upper triangular matrix, it's gonna be same because there is no ordering matters, right? या तो आप नंबर का एज से रिलेशनशिप निकालो या फिर आप एज का नंबर से निकालो, it's gonna be same, right? The value is gonna be same. So as you can see here, this number का एज से it's 0.028, similarly here एज का नंबर से 0.028 है, तो ये values ये same रहेगा. Similarly here this value is same, this value is same, right? So let's focus on lower triangular matrix. Now what this value means, सबसे पहले sign means मतलब positive relationship or negative relationship. So positive relationship is if one thing is going up, other thing is also going up. Negative means if one thing is going up, other thing is going down. Okay. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल मान लीजिए अगर टिपिकली इफ वी आर चेकिंग फॉर हाउस प्राइस, तो अगर कोई घर बड़ा है, उसका एरिया ज्यादा है, तो ऑफ कोर्स उसका प्राइस ज्यादा होगा, करेक्ट? सो इट्स अ पॉजिटिव स्ट्रॉन्ग पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप. तो अगर आप उस पे मैट्रिक्स पे कोरिलेशन निकालोगे तो यू माइट गेट सम पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप ओवर देयर. सिमिलरली नेगेटिव रिलेशनशिप में हो सकता है कि अगर मेरा सेंटर से डिस्टेंस ज्यादा है, राइट, उस घर का, तो हो सकता है मेरे प्राइसेस कम हो, क्योंकि आउटर में भी नो, राइट, आउटर में घर के प्राइस कम होते हैं एज कंपेरेटिव टू मेन सिटी. So as the distance from the main city increases, your prices may go down, right? So that's a negative relationship. Now, this is about sign. Now coming to the values. Now coming to the values. On absolute term, right? On absolute term, you can say there is to be very strong. Anything between point related, and then anything which is lower than 0.4, we typically say there is not strong relationship. Okay. However, these are the absolute term pair relationships. But let's take this case, right? यहाँ पे अगर आप देखो कि कोई भी 0.2 से ज्यादा है ही नहीं, मैक्सिमम इज पॉइंट आई बिलीव 2.1, right? So it so of course there is not much strong relationship of any of the two variable, that is true. But however, on relative term, relative to all other things, you can say yes, salary and age might be strongly related. And again, this is intuitive, right? एज ज्यादा होगा तो एक्सपीरियंस ज्यादा होगा, और एक्सपीरियंस ज्यादा होता है तो ऑफ कोर्स सैलरी भी ज्यादा होगा, राइट? एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू सेइंग अ पॉजिटिव रिलेशनशिप. हाउएवर इट इज नॉट वेरी स्ट्रांग as compare from this data. Okay, so that's how you read the correlation metric, and that's how you do the data analysis. Now you got it ki why it is important, why it is important to fill the missing values, why it is important to uh, what do you say, to make sure that you have a right data conversion. Because let's say if something is numerical and you have not converted into numerical, you will not get this in correlation metric. Similarly, if you have NAs in your data, you will not get this correlation metric, it will give you error. It will say first fix your NAs. So that's why those steps are so important, ताकि आप वो करेक्ट करके you reach on to this step where you can say, because these things are very important. Imagine if you have 100 features or 100 columns, you are not going to use all 100 columns in your model. No, your model, you will not get a good model. So this is first kind of manual analysis, you can say, कि अगर कोई चीज मेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है ही नहीं, लेट्स टेक नंबर का एज से कुछ रिलेशनशिप है ही नहीं, तो why should I even consider this in my model, right? I can ignore this. So instead of, let's say, these four column, if I have to choose, I know which one to choose. I know, if let's say I have to predict salary, I know I have to choose age, because age is strongly correlated. Then might be the second thing would be weight, or might be number, right? So if out of these three I have to choose two, I will choose age and weight, that's all, isn't it? So that's why this correlation metric is so important. Okay, any doubt so far in correlation metrics? No questions, no queries? I will take it as no, and I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Okay. I will take it as a no, that there are no queries. So it's good. Let's move further. So then you have correlation things. Then you have filters also. So let's say in the same data I want to filter out, right? How can I do it? Simply let's say if you want to, I want to check that कितने लोगों का सैलरी 5 lakhs के ऊपर है. I can simply do, see if I don't do this, right? If I just want to check कितने लोग का सैलरी 5 lakhs से ऊपर है, I will can simply say data salary column greater than equal to 5 lakh. Okay, if I do that, I will get this true false. So what I'm getting is all 457 rows, but it have an index of true and false. So which basically it is a dot iloc kind of a thing, wherein I'm getting this positional thing. तो जो मेरे को सिर्फ अगर actual data देना है, all I have to do is just do a enclose within the data. So now it is here all only 149 records. Okay. So wherever it was true, those records you have get. So that's how you can filter the data. Okay, and you can give multiple condition also. So for example, like this, let's say you want to do movies with the director Christopher Nolan. या तो ये हो, this is a pipe operator मतलब or, either this or this. तो या तो क्रिस्टोफर नोलन हो और रेडली स्कॉट हो. So if you do this, you can, just get the data. Enclose this within this square bracket of movies data frame, you will get all the values. Similarly, आप isn't भी दे सकते हो. What does it mean? Let's say instead of writing these two statement, मान लीजिए आपको 5-6 डायरेक्टर का filter out करना है, तो instead of writing this 5-6 times, you couldn't simply say movies director dot is in मतलब whoever director is in this list. So in this list you can simply give any names as you want. तो वो डायरेक्टर्स आ जाएंगे उन डायरेक्टर्स का डेटा who exist in this list. Okay, so likewise you can do filter, likewise you can give multiple condition also, right? This is and operator. So let's say in this what we are trying to do is movies जो year में greater than 2005 हो और less than हो, so between 2005 and 2010 के बीच में, then rating greater than 8 हो, and then revenue million. What does it mean? तो I already told you there is this describe thing, right? जहाँ पे आपको quantile distribution दिखाता है. What is your 25th percentile, 50th percentile, 75th percentile? So simply what we are doing over here is we are checking what is this 25th percentile value. तो उससे कम रेवेन्यू की मेरे को मूवीज देखनी है. तो ओनली जो शुरुआत का 25% परसेंटाइल मूवीज है वो देखना है. सो लाइकवाइज यू कैन गिव दिस मल्टीपल लेवल ऑफ फिल्टरिंग. ओके, आई होप दिस इज क्लियर. Then you can apply functions also, right? So any questions in that? So you will have to tell me what you want to repeat. I don't know when you type this message. Any questions so far in filtering? Because we learned correlation metric and then we learned filtering. So where you are asking question? Correlation metrics. So what exactly is your question? So about negative and positive means wherever there is a negative relationship, which means that one goes down, so other goes up. It's an inverse relationship, like that you can think, right? So as I said, अगर आपका घर होम लोकेशन जो उसका मेन सिटी से दूर होगा तो उसका प्राइस कम होगा. द बिगर द डिस्टेंस इज, द मोर द डिस्टेंस इज, लोअर इज द प्राइस. करेक्ट. सो दैट्स अ नेगेटिव रिलेशनशिप, क्योंकि एक चीज बढ़ रही है तो दूसरी चीज घटती है, right? Inverse relationship hai. Whereas on the positive side, both things goes up together, both things goes down together. Okay, so that you can do. Somebody asked me how did you inserted values in data. I'm not sure where you are asking. uh, so which portion, like was it filtering or where? So Shurshita, I'm asking you, no, but then where you are asking? I mean, we were just talking about correlation metric and then filtering. We never talked about inserting value in data. So I'm not sure what is the context. Okay, so let's start with filtering thing only. So what I was telling you is here, you can give multiple filter condition at the same time. So how you can do is, you already have this and an or operator. So you have to say, think what is your condition. So for example, if I want to find out movie between 2005 and 2010, you can give it like that. So always pay attention that whenever you are writing multiple condition, you have to close them in a round parenthesis. So this is one condition. So enclose this in a round parenthesis. Then you put and operator. So movie which is greater than equal to 2005 and less than 2010. So it's a and, it's not a or, right? And in इसके अंदर you can think like it is like a board mass rule. So first it will give you this condition, then it will do कि उसमें रेटिंग किसकी 8 से ज्यादा है, तो अगेन it is doing another level of filtering, right? Then again one more level of filtering, वो मूवीज जिनका रेवेन्यू मिलियन फर्स्ट 25 परसेंटाइल से कम है. So likewise, you can give multiple condition in that and finally enclose all this within movies DF, because this will be giving you true and false of the index. So wherever it is true, you can get it from this. So that's how you do the filtering. Okay, so I hope this is clear. Okay, cool. So let's get going. So then you have this, how do we apply functions, right, on data frame? Simply up, you already know how to define function. You can just define a function, give define name. Let's say you want to create a column, right? What you are doing here in this function is, you are getting some value. Let's say, and if that value is greater than equal to 8, you say it's good, or else you return bad. Okay, so what you did is, you have created a new column. So this rating category, you have created a column. How? Simply, it is taking movies DF rating. So it is taking this column. Now all you are doing is dot apply. So dot apply means, I think we have already learned these functions, right? Dot apply functions, T apply, S apply functions. So what it does is, simply it apply this function on this column. So one by one it will apply. Okay, so you apply and you give the function name. So what it does is, as you can see here, it will go to the first row of rating column. It will check here that what is the rating column. It is 8.1. Okay, so it will apply on this function 8.1. It will go within that. So you know 8.1 is good. So that's why rating category it is good. So it is by default a row wise operation, right? Similarly, you have, like in a second row, you can see your rating was 7, so it is less than 8, and that's why you have written bad. So that's why you are seeing category bad. So what it does is, simply if you want to apply some function on one column and you want to get another column out of it, that's how you can do, by simply this apply function. Okay, clear? Likewise, you could have directly written like this also. So instead of defining it again, you can simply, they, like we already know, right? Lambda we can write if we have just one line thing. तो आप simply दूसरा function define करने की जगह you could have said lambda x equal to good if your x is greater than equal to 8, else bad. So if you find it difficult, always it's simple that you start simple, you define it separately, and then you simply use that function. That's all. Okay. uh, Plotting also you can do, but I'm not taking you today because we already have this visualization session, I think uh, tomorrow or day after tomorrow. Yeah, so we already have this session, so that's the reason I'm not taking you today. So we will learn that time, but there is this simple plotting also you can do. But just to, I mean, for the sake of completeness, what all you can do is simply आप कॉलम दीजिए एंड कॉलम में आप डॉट प्लॉट दे सकते हो, डॉट प्लॉट, एंड यू टेल व्हाट काइंड ऑफ प्लॉट्स यू वांट, whether you are looking for box plot, you are looking for bar plot, whatever. You can do it like, give it like this in one line, you will get the plot out of it. Okay, I'm not going to into detail what is box plot today because we have another session for that. So I'm just for your knowledge, you should know that simply you give a column name, dot plot, and tell what kind of plots you want. So if it is a, this simply this is a histogram, so you can type hist, you will get it. Box plot you will get, right? Bar plot you will get. So up to you. Okay, cool. With that we have completed pandas library also. Then we'll be moving to the new topic, that is data wrangling, wherein we will be doing more of the data cleaning, learning all these things. So जो भी हमने pandas और numpy के operations पढ़े हैं ना, those operations only we will use it more. So it will be a quick revision of both the libraries. So let's quickly jump to that. But first I will ask you if you guys have any questions. We can clarify those, otherwise we can jump, we can take a short break and then we can start, because I think this is the right way, because then we can continue the topic till the end. So if you guys have any question, we can take that up. But I think most of your queries regarding pandas and numpy library will get even more clarify in this session, because this is data wrangling, wherein we will learn all the data pre-processing, cleaning steps. This is actually a first step towards data science journey. Okay, ठीक है, then let's take a quick break. Let's come back at 12:30. Okay, and yeah, then we will resume it. Okay, thank you so much. Let's join back in 15 minutes. Hello, everyone. It got a long break, so I hope everybody is back and I'm audible. Okay, let me share my screen. So, can somebody confirm me if I'm audible and my screen is visible? Okay, perfect. Let's get started. So, as I said before going on to the break, right? Today's topic is data wrangling. So, बहुत सारे नेम है इसके. You call it data wrangling, data pre-processing, data cleaning, data munging, right? So all these things are nothing but just one thing. How do you pre-process your data? So what this data wrangling means? It is a process of gathering, collecting, and transforming the raw data into another format for better understanding, decision making, assessing, and analysis in less time. So it is also known as I was telling you is data munging. Okay. हम क्यों करते हैं ये सिंपल रीजंस. आप जितने भी रोल सुनते होंगे लाइक पीपल हु से दैट आई एम डेटा एनालिस्ट, पीपल हु से आई एम बिजनेस इंटेलिजेंस people, right? BI team, DA team, or DS team for that matter. So all these things, all these three teams, this is a common step. Everybody does that. तो जो पावर बीआई वाला है या जो बीआई बिजनेस इंटेलिजेंस टीम है, व्हाट दे डू इज फर्स्ट दे डू ऑल these steps and then they build a dashboard, right? They build reports, and we will also building that, right? We will be seeing in this session only today and tomorrow we'll be learning this because this is a bigger topic, right? And I wanted to spend much time in this because this is the whole purpose why we have done this course, right? जो भी हमने 2 weeks का ट्रेनिंग लिया है पाइथन के लिए, अल्टीमेटली व्हाट इज द पर्पस? सो दिस इज द पर्पस बिकॉज दिस इज द यूज केस ऑफ दैट. Okay, so as I was telling you, right? Be it is a BI team, be it is a data analyst team or a data science team, this step is common across all the teams. Okay. So now what is the importance, right? It is a very important step because book selling, let's say, this, let's take this example. Okay. So book selling website wants to know what is the top selling book of different domains according to user preference, right? So for example, a new user search motivational books. So what they should show to that particular new user, right? So obviously they will show it the, this is our best top selling, so you should also buy that. Correct. So for that, they should have done this data cleaning, they should have done this data pre-processing, and they should know in last month this book has been, top selling book, and this is what I should recommend. Okay. So that's why, this is important, this step is so important. Okay, so now what we do in Python for this, right? What are the different functionality? So first is data exploration. So in this process, data is studied, analyzed, understood by visualizing representation of the data. तो जो भी मैंने आपको steps बताए थे, right? First, let's say if you have a CSV, you read that CSV, you do that info, wherein you get the information ki how many records are there, how many columns are there, what are different kind of data sets you have, right? What is the different types of the columns, right? Then how many missing records are there, right? So all these things you get within that. So we call it as data exploration. And sometimes you also do the data visualization within this. So let's say we want to see what is the relationship between the two, right? One way is you can do data.core, you can check the correlation value, but also at the same time you want to visualize it also, right? So आप scatter plot कर सकते हो, आप box plot कर सकते हो. We'll learn that in more detail. Okay. So that's all about data exploration. Then we do dealing with the missing values, right? So let's say now when I was doing the data exploration, I realized there are a lot of missing values. Now how do I deal with it? One way is if there are very less, you simply drop them. Other ways, typically what we do is we fill it with a mean value. Now picking that mean value may change. You may get the entire mean of entire column. That could be one way. Other way could be you have, different groups or different categories, right? So you are doing a group by for each of the group and then calculating mean for just that group and filling it, if that belong to this group, then that's the mean value. If it belong to group 2, then there is a different mean value, like that. Okay. So you should know how to take care of it. either with mean, mode also, and most frequent value also. So let's say if it is a categorical column, and so you cannot calculate mean of it, right? So you calculate mode for that. What is mode? Most frequent value. So you can fill कि जो भी value सबसे ज़्यादा repeat हुई है, most likely that missing value is that only, and you just simply replace it by that. Then you come to the reshaping of the data. So in this, what we do is data is manipulated according to the requirement, right? Where new data can be added or pre-existing data can be modified. तो जो भी हम slicing हमने पढ़ा था, right? Let's say if there are some column which is of no use, you can simply drop them. Or if there are some records which are outlier, you can drop them, right? So that comes under reshaping of the data. Then there is a filtering of data, right? So filtering, as in, as I was telling you, right? Maybe I am just interested on where the people where salary is more than 5 lakhs, right? I'm not interested people below 50,000 rupees. So I am not doing the analysis for those people. Then simply I can do the filtering of the data, right? Then there could be other functionalities also as a part of this data wrangling steps, right? So as you can see, we can implement data analyzing, machine learning, and visualization and model training as well. So we will see them one by one, right? So first start with data exploration, right? So here we assign the data and then we visualize the data in the tabular format. So what happened is I have got the data, I have converted into a data frame, and now I'm simply visualizing. So visualization is not just always plots. It's visualizing the table also. So where we do simply print df or just df, right? We are just simply displaying the data. So we are just checking कि data में क्या क्या है, right? So we are just trying to get the understanding of the data, right? You could have done data.info and data.describe also to get even more detail. क्योंकि क्या होता है यहाँ पर तो columns less हैं, but most of the time you had 50 or 60 columns. So sometimes just reading this data doesn't make sense. You have to analyze what is the, in describe what is the summary statistics of each numerical column. Then you can do a info which tells you what is the data type of each column, how many are missing in that, right? Then the second step is dealing with the missing value. So as we have seen that there are, some of the missing value in this case, right? Two values are missing. So how do you treat it, right? How are you going to replace it? So simply up, you already know there is a fill any or replace function, right? तो आप वो replace कर सकते हो. So there is this function df dot replace. तो to replace मतलब आपको क्या replace करना है? You have want to replace nan values and you give the value. Now from where this value is coming, you could have simply get the mean of that, right? So यहाँ direct function है np dot mean, you can calculate it, or you want you can get your you can write your own function, up to you. Typically we already know there is a function, then what is the point of writing the loop, right? So maybe because let's say in marks, right, यहाँ पर हम if you rate this function, what it is doing, I'm just simply going over on the marks column, right? I'm checking if it is numeric. So if it is numeric, then you add, right? You add, c is like basically getting how many values are there, and average mein you are just adding the value, and simply for calculation getting the mean, you have just simply divided that sum by c, that is number of count, that is the mean value, right? Let's say if you have 5 numbers and you want to take mean, you add those 5 numbers, divide by 5. So that same thing you are doing. Either you could have done this, or you could have simply done np dot mean, and in that there is an argument where you can say ignore null value or remove null value. Okay, so likewise you can do, and you can replace it. आप df dot replace भी कर सकते थे, आप df dot fill any भी कर सकते थे. Okay, cool. So let's say आपने यहाँ पे replace कर लिया values को, missing values को. Then we come to the reshaping of the data. So let's say it may happen that there is a gender in which only M and F written, right? So I can actually use this by simply mapping it to the some value. Let's say I don't want to put it as a M or F. I want to convert into some other categorical numbers. So it may be that male represent to 0 and female represent to 1, right? So I can convert this into a number. Simply, how can I do it? Gender है, उसको मैं वापस से replace कर रही हूँ gender में ही. And how I'm doing, there is a map function. So what this map function does, it will, you give a dictionary, So it will map M to 0 and F to 1. Simple. So जितने भी आपके levels हैं, those you can map to a certain number or value, however you want. And again, I'm simply converting into a float, S type float, because earlier it was an object, because it's a string column, right? So it's an object and I want to convert into a float. So that's what I have done. And if you do a display, you can check your M and F has been converted to 0 and 1. Likewise, you can do reshaping of the data. So this is one example. There could be other examples also if you want to create some more columns. So जैसे हमने एक example देखा था, rating column से we created a new column, right? Whether it is a good rating or a bad rating based on the value. So all these things you can do in this reshaping of the data. Okay, cool. Then we have this filtering of the data. So in filtering, let's say if I want to analyze only where my marks are greater than 75. So that way you can do the filtering. You can drop certain columns. Let's say you want to drop age. So you could have done df dot drop age, because it's a column thing. You have to give x is equal to 1 and simply display your data. So it's being done. Okay. So we have finally obtained an efficient data set which can be further used for various purposes. Okay, fine. So these are the basic of the data wrangling. Now we will discuss various other operations. So some more advanced operation of data wrangling, right? क्योंकि हमने सिर्फ यही इतना basic नहीं होता. अगर इतना simple होता तो everybody, was super happy and they were doing this analysis, right? But it is not that easy. Okay, it is easy, but it's not that simple also. There are some more advanced operation also under this wrangling data. So let's get them one by one. The first is merging operation. So we have yesterday only we have seen, right? If you have two data frames, you can merge it. Simply pd.merge, you give the data frame 1, data frame 2, and just give on field, matlab which key you want to add. Okay, so let's say suppose teacher has two types of data. First type data consists detail of his students, and second data is pending fees status, which is taken from account office. And typically, trust me, these kind of things happens a lot. Like as I said, right, for simple reason, अगर आप सारी चीजों को एक ही टेबल या एक ही फाइल में सेव करने की कोशिश करोगे, it will be too used to handle. You can't open a file even in your laptop which is let's say 10,000 rows or 10,000 columns. It's too heavy to load. Rather, if you have three files with 3,000 records each, it's much easier to open and process. So same reason, data को split करके रखा जाता है, and there is a key on which you can merge the two data set. The simple reason for here, right? So teacher will merge the operation here. How they will do it? Simply मान लीजिए आपके पास ये data frame है details in which you have ID, student name and branch. Okay, so that's the data frame. Then you have second data. What is it? It has the ID and it has pending, how much fees is pending. So this is the fee status. Simply I have to merge two data. What I will do? Very simple, pd.merge data 1 details, data 2 fee status on what is the common key? ID, right? ID है यहाँ और यहाँ भी ID है. So this is the common ID. Simple. pd.merge details fee status on ID. That's all. That's how simple it is. Now you have got this merged data. And by default, if you have not given anything, I think it is inner loop or outer. You can check by what is the default value on how argument, that whether it will be an inner join or an outer join. I think mostly it's an outer join. So that's how it does. Okay, that's how you can check the, how you can merge the data. ओके उसके लिए क्या है, सिंपली आपको pandas merge पे जाना है एंड आपको इसका ये खोलना है डॉक्यूमेंटेशन, एंड डॉक्यूमेंटेशन में इट विल हैव एवरीथिंग. इट हैज लेफ्ट, देन इट हैज राइट, देन इट हैज हाउ. तो बाय डिफॉल्ट एक्चुअली इनर है, तो you will get only common records. Then you have on is that key, then left on, right on. So what is this left on, right on? What if you have different column name? So for example, in this case, right, it may happen that I have a ID name written. So the column name is different. Even though values are same, but column name can be different in two table, right? It need not to be always same. So you can say left on matlab what is the column name in id in table one or left table. Imagine if it's id, हो सकता है right side वाले में small id हो. So you can say left on equal to capital id, right on equal to small id. Okay, so likewise you can tell. So in that case you will not give on, either you will give these two or you will give this. Okay, then you can say left index, right index, all these things you can try it out at your own, but these are the important ones: left, right, on, how, and left on and right on. Okay, cool. Then another important operation is grouping. So this also we have learned recently. So in grouping what we do is you know we data analysis, it is provide result in terms of various groups taken out from the large data, right? This method of pandas is used to group the outset of the data from the larger data set. So for example, मान लीजिए यहाँ पे car selling company है, right? And this company have different brands of various car manufacturing company like Maruti, Toyota, Mahindra, Ford, etc., and have data where different cars are sold in different years. So company wants to wrangle only data where cars are sold during the year 2010 for this problem. Let's see what we can do. ठीक है? Okay. So let's say you have this car selling data over here, जहाँ पे आपके पास brand column है, in which you have the company name. Then you have year, in which year it was maybe manufactured, and then how many it was sold. So maybe in this year, in which year, how many were them sold. Okay, so this was a data. Now in this data, what I want to do is I am only interested in 2010 data. Okay, so what I can do is I can simply group by year because I want to do analysis group wise. Okay, so I can simply say df dot group by year, and I can check what is the group has been made. So let's try to do this. Okay, so let's see what happens. So let me just quickly run this. So let's see what is in the group. Sorry, group dot groups. So as you can see, there are 1, 2, 3 groups, 4 groups actually. 2009 में 2 entries थी. 2010 में 1, 0, 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 entries है, right? 5 records you can see. 2011 में 4 records हैं, 13 में 2 records हैं. ठीक है? So that's how we have got the groups. And as you can see, if I can simply do get group, and which group you want, 2010. So you can see this is the group. There are 5 entries. Okay. Now what you can do is simply like, I mean this is one way, right? So that's how you can get the group and do the analysis. तो इसके बाद आप कर सकते हैं, आपको aggregation करना है और filtering करनी है और transformation करना है. Whatever you want to do, you can do with this group. Okay. Then another kind of important operation is removing duplicates. So for that again, we already know you can get the data frame and check duplicated. So if you do drop duplicates, it will directly remove the duplicates. But let's say if you want to check first before dropping them, so instead of drop duplicate, you could have sent duplicated. So duplicated mein it will show you first what are records are there which are duplicates. Okay, if it is none, I mean if it is there is no duplicate data, it will show you none. Okay, and then again here you can say three options similar to that in the drop duplicates. अगर first है तो सिर्फ first दिखाएगा, last है तो last दिखाएगा, false है तो all the values दिखाएगा. Okay, तो simple reason, डेटा फ्रेम डुप्लीकेटेड में आपको जितने एंट्रीज आ रहे हैं, एंड इफ यू डू डेटा फ्रेम ड्रॉप डुप्लीकेट्स, उतने ही एंट्री वहां से गायब हो जाएंगे. ओके, सो डेटा फ्रेम डुप्लीकेटेड हैव द रिकॉर्ड्स which is dropped in drop duplicates. Okay, so for example in this case, if you do this df duplicated roll number, so let me show you this. So let's see if you have this, right? we have this data, and if I do df dot duplicated, right, let's see if I do this. So it says that it's false, right? So there is no duplicates because it's everywhere it is false. Okay, but let's say for one particular column I want. So let's say if I, because why it is saying it is false, because it is checking all these three values. So there is no three values in the, there is no row which is exactly same, right? Like you can see here Amit 23, Amit 23, but you have email ID as different, right? So there is no two row which is same. That's why this df duplicated it is not showing you anything. If you do this df dot drop duplicate na, then also it won't remove anything. So as you can see यहाँ पे भी 12 records हैं. These are the 12 records. But there you can check duplicate, let's say if in one particular column only you want, because ideally there should not be two person with the same roll number, correct? So roll number, even though name could be same, but roll number cannot be same. So you can directly mention that I don't want duplicate, or I want to see duplicate within the roll number itself. So likewise you can say. So now you see it is telling you there are three duplicates. Three times it is true, isn't it? Because these three, you can say this also duplicates, this also duplicates, this also duplicates. So last three are duplicates. So what you can do is here is सिंपली अगर आप ड्रॉप डुप्लीकेट्स में रोल नंबर करोगे तो यहाँ पे अब आप देखोगे तो आपके नीचे के 3 रिकॉर्ड्स गायब हो गए. बिकॉज सिंपल रीजन, बाय डिफॉल्ट कीप इज इक्वल टू फर्स्ट, तो फर्स्ट वैल्यूज उसने रखे हैं. अमित के जैसे केस में दिस वाज द फर्स्ट वैल्यू एंड इट हैज केप्ट दैट. इफ यू डू कीप इक्वल टू लास्ट, सो लास्ट रिकॉर्ड रखेंगे और फर्स्ट रिकॉर्ड्स मिसिंग हो जाएंगे. एंड इफ यू डू बोथ, then both will be missing. So likewise you can play and change with that. So always remember, if you are not giving any column name over here, then it will just simply check all the columns, and if all the columns are same, then only it will drop, otherwise not. And let's say if you want to check for particular column or set of column, right, you can just simply give this and give multiple columns also. So let's say roll number and name also you want to remove, right? So कौन से ऐसे records हैं जहां पर name and दोनों सेम है? तो actually it is those three only. So that's why it is showing. Otherwise, it, if there are others, it could have shown that also. Okay, so you can drop like that. Clear? Okay, I hope it is clear. तो या तो आप drop duplicates कर सकते हो, or you can simply do like this. So df duplicate, what it does is it gives you what is duplicate, but you want to remove them. So this is not. So if you use this symbol, it is not. It just do the other way around. तो ट्रू है उसको फॉल्स कर देगा, फॉल्स है तो ट्रू कर देगा. तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल हियर जैसे आप देख रहे थे, राइट, आपने डीएफ डुप्लीकेट्स किया तो दिस इज ट्रू. तो अगर आप इसको डीएफ से निकालोगे, लाइक अगर आप इसको डीएफ में डालोगे तो क्या आएगा? डुप्लीकेट रिकॉर्ड्स आएंगे, इजंट इट? बट आपको तो इसका उल्टा चाहिए ना. यू डोंट वांट डुप्लीकेट रिकॉर्ड, यू वांट अदर रिकॉर्ड्स. तो सिंपली आप इसके आगे ये सिंबल लगा देंगे विच इज नॉट, तो यू विल गेट दिस. तो जहां पे भी ट्रू था उसको फॉल्स कर देता है एंड फॉल्स को ट्रू कर देता है. Either you can do this or you can simply do df.drop duplicates. Both are the same thing. Okay, cool. Any questions so far? Everything is clear in data wrangling. So I mean, as I said, right, there is nothing new we learned operation wise or function wise. It's just that we are learning now more from the use case perspective कि हम कहाँ, because trust me, in my 8 or 9 years of experience, there is no more operations I have performed than this in Pandas. I'm not saying there are not there, they are there, but I did not even need it. Because जो भी हमको करना होता है, mostly it is coming in under these functions only. Either you do merging, or you do group by functions, or you do this duplicates, removing null values and filtering the data. इसके अलावा there is no other operations which I have used so far. So the whole point of this is showcasing you all those different scenarios कि हम इनको कहाँ कहाँ use कर सकते हैं. You have to think through that. Whatever, you try to formulate the problem. So the best way to learn this exercise is you pick the data set, you pick one problem, you go to the Kaggle website. I think I have already talked about that with you already, and if not I will talk about that again. So there is already a Kaggle website जहाँ से आप कोई भी problem उठा सकते हो. There is a data involved. You try to do these kind of analysis at your own, whatever data you get. That is the best way to learn, because then only you will think कि okay, what kind of analysis I want to do with that, what kind of operations I will need to do that analysis. Now if you know that what you have to do, you will already search for the syntax. There is no problem of learning the syntax, right? There is a Google search available for that, plenty of data and resources available for that. I have already shared the data set, I mean the tutorials with you, right? Whatever I'm showing you. So all those syntax are there. Okay, cool. So if nothing much, then let's move on to the same data wrangling operations. But so I found this was a good blog, good tutorial. Then there is another tutorial what I found where there was more operations from the data frame side. So like what all different things we can where we can use this. Okay, so then there is this another thing. So all these things already I have put it in this one slide, data wrangling PPT, and which will be uploaded today. So you can go them one by, then you don't have to bother that which link I showcased you. So this is the first link we went through. Now this is the second link which we'll be going through. Okay, so let's try to go through this blog as well. Right, so here as you can see, Python has several methods available to perform aggregation on data. Right, it is either using Pandas or NumPy library. Right, so data must be available or converted to a data frame to apply aggregation function. So let's say you have this data frame. Right now in this you have so try to create this data frame. Okay, so let's see what we are getting out of this data. As you can see, what I did first, मैंने एक random number बनाया. We already learned this, right, within NumPy library. So in NumPy you can generate these random numbers, which is starting from 10, and then there is a interval of 4, I guess. Okay, so what this does is, so let's see, if something is not clear, you can simply print it like this. So what it does is, it actually generated an array. Sorry, I forgot. It generated the array of this 10, 4, where 10 observation are there, 4 columns are there. So it has generated those random numbers. So we learned that how to create an array that time, right? So now this array has been generated. Simply what I'm doing is I'm giving index, and index I want to give it as a date, right? So as you can see here, we have created this date range starting from 1 to 2000 with 10 period, because there are 10 entries. And if you don't give, it is on the daily basis. That's why frequency, if you want to change, you can change it, but it was on daily basis, so that's why you get 10 days rows, right? Then you have the column names you have given. So that's how you have defined a data frame. Okay, so now once you have defined the data frame, this is one thing you can do. Now let's try to understand what is this. Okay, so what it does is, I will simply do print R. Let's I save this in R, and I am doing print R. Okay. Why it is not showing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, let's see this, and then I will show you the difference. Whenever you get this kind of syntax error, na, this is always just has to with the syntax. So the syntax is in print, you should always give the these things. So that's how you have got. Okay. So what we have done over here is, let's try to understand that one by one, right? So in R dot, this is another one kind of operation which you can perform similar to grouping. I'm just checking what are different functions are available within R. It is not giving me option when I'm pressing tab. Ha. So what are the things? Let's see if I window. What do I get? Acha, window equal to 3. Fine. So basically what I have done here is I have created a rolling window. So what this rolling window is, then I have a window size of 3 and minimum period is 1. Okay. So basically what it does is it try to create the rolling window. So let's say first rolling window will be of these 3 values, right? Then there will be one skip missing, and then again these 3 value, then these 3 value. Likewise, it's a rolling window. So typically we use it whenever you want to create a rolling mean, right? Now I have created this window, so this is very much similar to like group by function. Okay. Now what I want to do this, I am saying that I want to aggregate it and sum it, right? So that's what I want to do. And as you can see here, the values what you have got over here is what it is simply doing. uh, it is just uh, now let's see, if I just take these 3 values and take the average of it, right? So that's what I will be getting. Similarly, if I take the average of these 3, right, and simply adding, sorry, not average, it's sum. So I have simply added these two and got this. Similarly, I have added these two and I have got this, right? So likewise it is getting. So if some things are not very much clear, because to be very honest, I have not implemented this rolling function ever. So let's see pandas, because I know it's in pandas because df is in data frame, right? So let me search and see what it does. So you can always go to the documentation or select in this side what is the use case and how do we use it. So maybe that time it is more clear. So as you can see, what it shows is data frame rolling. You give window, min period, and all these things. So what it does is, so this is my data frame, right? Now the best way to learn is from geeks and geeks actually, because here they give you very good explanation as well. So I'm just trying to go through it. So this is very much similar to our example, right? Rolling sum with a window span of 2 seconds. So what it does is, I have created this data frame, and then this data frame I am simply rolling it for twos and summing it up, right? So simply, as you can see here, because we are just trying to understand what it does first of all, right? So as you can see that this was my data frame, right? Now what it is doing, what I'm trying to do here is I'm simply doing a rolling, and then I'm just giving 2s, and then sum. Okay, so that is my aggregation function, and then I'm giving rolling में मुझे कितना span देना है. So similar to my case here, right? I gave window of 3 and I have given the sum as my aggregation function. So here what it does is, simply आप देखोगे तो फर्स्ट तो वैल्यू 0 है, बट सेकंड के केस में इट एडेड अप दीज टू. 2 सेकंड का विंडो है, राइट? तो इन दोनों को ऐड किया तो 1 ही आएगा, इसीलिए 1 है. सिमिलरली इन दोनों को ऐड किया तो 3 आएगा. सिमिलरली 2 एंड नैन को ऐड करोगे तो नैन आएगा. देन अगेन आपका क्या बोलते हैं, 4 में इसने नैन को ऐड किया है तो यहाँ पर 4 आया है. ओके, देन आइडियली यहाँ भी नैन आना चाहिए बिकॉज it has summed up of 2 second window, right? Okay, let's take another example. So df rolling 2, then you have minimum period 1. So what it does is rolling sum with a window length of 2 observation. but only needs a minimum of one observation to calculate a value. So in this case, as you can give here is 3 is my window, rolling sum with the result assigned to center of window index. So this is the one, and then it just added these two. Then here it is 3, 4, 3 and 4. So here also it is just adding up the of the 3 windows, right? So okay, so let me do one thing, because like being very honest, I have never used this rolling window example. So let me go through it by myself and be clarify with that, so I can cover this rolling example better tomorrow. Okay, because I'm also not really sure how it is doing. I mean, because sometimes here I see there should be nan, but it is not coming up. So I will have to read more documentation around it, that how does it really work. But ultimately the functionality, basically it's a rolling window kind of a thing, right? So it is heavily used whenever you have this timestamp related series, right? तो मान लीजिए जो हम एवरेजिंग करते हैं, or a simple reason to put it, somebody asked about stock prediction thing, right? So a very simple model of stock prediction could be, you give this rolling window mean. What is rolling window? You calculate last 7 days of mean value and you tell that is gonna be price today. So it's a rolling window, which means that today it will be last 7 days, then tomorrow it will be again, your window will be shifted by one. So my last 7 days are not same as previous day, right? Because अगर मैं लास्ट 3 days देख रही हूँ, तो अगर मैंने फ्राइडे सैटरडे संडे देखा होगा, तो कल के लिए मेरे रोलिंग विंडो होगी सैटरडे संडे एंड मंडे, isn't it? Because tomorrow is Tuesday. Similarly for Wednesday it will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's a rolling window kind of a thing. So in that, what we are simply saying, you give a rolling window, what is the window size and what is the aggregation function. Okay, so that is what you can perform and get it. But how it is exactly working, I will understand it by myself first, and then tomorrow I'll clarify that. Okay, so with that, let's move on to some other kind of operations. So here, okay, so here it is all about rolling windows only. So let's go to the other thing. Okay, so I think this is what was there in this, in the data aggregation and data wrangling. So yeah, this is again the data wrangling. So we already learned about grouping, concatenating the data and all. Fine. So there is this one another important block which I found, which is like, 7 must know data wrangling operations with Python pandas. Okay, so it's a comprehensive practical guide, another very good blog to look at. So let's see what are these 7 important operations which one should know. So see, here also they have talked about this data set on the Kaggle. So this is a very, so that's what I'm saying. This is very good website which you can look at, because really there is a lot of information available and everything is for free. You can just not just only look at the data, but you can also look at the answers also. There are a lot of people who are sharing their own code, and I mean, I will strongly recommend you to practice on this. Okay, so they have taken this data set from here only. So aap simply you can click on this and you can download the data set from here, from this website. So this is the Kaggle website. तो यहाँ पे अगर आप देखोगे तो simply you can search for any of the kind of a competition or data set, whatever you are looking at. So if you are looking at, let's say, simple house prediction data, right, that you can search. So house prediction, see, house prediction data. So likewise you can get. तो आपको सिर्फ डेटा ही नहीं मिलता, ये there is a different tabs, right? So in data you can simply see here, you can press here, you can download this. आपको कोड भी मिलता है, you can see codes here. तो यहाँ इतने सारे लोगों ने ऑलरेडी ये कोड शेयर करके रखे हैं. So typically what you do is you just select, let's say, most votes, and you click on that. So it gives you the entire code. Do you see? With the, so it's in a notebook format. because then you can see it is captured exactly what they have done, properly written, why they do it, what does it mean. Everything is done in a very nice way. So that's why I strongly recommend you do this. Try this one or two time. Just go through it, try to practice at your own, and you see your confidence. You will feel much more confident than before you did it. So that's why I'll strongly recommend you do this. You can reach out to this directly Kaggle, or you can go through this blog, and from here you can go. So from here, as you can see, we can directly download the data set. Okay, just a quick check. So I hope I'm clear and sound and you guys are able to hear me, right? Okay, cool. So let's get back. So here what we are doing is we have just read the data set. Okay, so I have just read the data set read.csv, and I'm just giving the file name, location. Now I checked what is my data. So it's shape, you can check. So there are 13,580 records and there are 21 columns. So now what are different columns? So these are the different columns. So we are what step we are at? Can somebody tell me? I told you few steps, right? And as I started this topic of data wrangling, can somebody tell me what are we doing in this step? Can somebody type in chat and tell me what we are doing right now? Or what was the first step which I told of data wrangling? Nobody remembers. अभी आप क्या कर रहे हो डेटा को देख के? If I give you option, then you will be able to tell. ठीक है, मैं ऑप्शन देती हूँ. Are we doing data analysis? Are we doing data visualization or data exploration? Out of these three, what we are doing? No, where we have done cleaning? Did we perform any cleaning operation? एक बार दोबारा देखिए. I have simply checked what is the shape. I have simply checked what is the column. I have not done any cleaning yet. So this is data exploration. I am simply exploring the data. पहले आप explore करोगे ना, आप cleaning कैसे कर लोगे मुझे बताओ? When you don't know ABCD about the data, how can you perform the cleaning? You should, think logically, right? You have to know the place before you start cleaning. राइट ऐसा थोड़ी आप पूरा घर देख के आओगे देन ओनली यू विल स्टार्ट क्लीनिंग ना ऐसा थोड़ी है कि झाड़ू उठाए और चालू हो जाओगे नो राइट यू हैव टू एक्सप्लोर इट फर्स्ट कितना है क्या है उसी पेस के अकॉर्डिंग यू विल क्लीन इट आउट इजंट इट so it's a data exploration step so we are exploring the data so we saw there are 13,000 records and 21 columns in this houses right so there are 21 features about 13,580 houses in Melbourne okay now let's see what is the different types for this okay so let me do one thing let me download this data set and let me do this show it by myself so that there are other things also that I can show you apart from this standard thing right so let me close this so this is the Melbourne housing data I can go to the data and download it simply so you can see it has been downloaded let me just quickly explore it. So this is the data. You can simply copy it over here. Okay, cool. तो अब मेरे को अगर ये डेटा को रीड करना है, what I can do is I can simply copy paste this code. The only thing is I will have to. Will it work? Let me do this. It gave me this error. Can somebody tell me what is this error? Let's go this. It says file, no such file or directory. Can somebody tell me what is the problem and how do I fix it? अगर आपको ये एरर आएगा how will you fix it? I'll show the error again. It is giving me this error file not found. मैंने अभी तो file copy किया ना वहाँ then why it is giving me file not found? Can somebody tell me what is the problem? I have copy pasted this file where I have this notebook. Still it is giving me this error. Can somebody tell me what is the problem? I have already uploaded the file where I have the notebook. Read this error again. No, file is saved. I have copy pasted the file. See, it is filing, searching for this file, but it is searching in this. So what does it mean? It is thinking कि जिस notebook में ये file है, right? I mean, ये notebook जिस folder में है, there is another folder called content, because this is for folder, right? So it is assuming that there is another folder called content और उसमें search कर रहा है. But that is not the way I have this is not where I have loaded, right? I have loaded the file where I have this notebook. So typically there is no folder or named content over there. So I should be directly giving just this file name. That's all. So if I do this, it will work. It should work, but okay, wait. It is giving this error, but okay, let me check it again. Oh, my bad. Actually, I copied in this, but my notebook was outside this. So that's why. So that's what I'm saying. Wherever is your notebook, your data should be there, and also the way you are calling, right, you have to make sure that you have not given any folder or any structure over here. So now it will work. So now it has worked, but it is this different error because this was the output, right? So I should not be doing this. So if I do this, see, now it worked. So I have this data and I have this. Now what other two things I said for data exploration? I will be doing this melbourne.info. What it tells, same thing, ये तो repetitive है, 13,580 records and 21 columns, but more information I get about data types. तो data types I can see, suburbs, addresses हैं, ये string है, rooms integer है, type है वो object है, price है वो float है, right? So likewise I can get about the data types. Another important information I'm getting, that how many null records are there. So I see all of them have 13,580 except this, these two or three, these three columns. So what does it mean? There are only 7,130 records which are non-null. इसका मतलब बाकी के जो भी 6,000 होंगे approximately, those are null entries. So there are building areas where 6,000 records are null. Similarly, year build is not there for around 5,000 records क्योंकि सिर्फ 8,000 के लिए है. What does it mean? 8,000 records are non-null. So which means that remaining are null. So it has to be equal to the number of rows. So 13,580 records है तो सारे ही records 13,580 non-null होने चाहिए. इसका मतलब you have some missing data. Correct? This is one information I got from this info. And another thing which I told is describe. So this also you can do. This will tell you all the statistics about your numerical column कि कितने values थे, क्या उनका average है, standard deviation. This is not so much of use. I mean, it's of course of use, but not at this point. This is more useful going forward. Let's say when you're trying to get the relationship or you're trying to visualize, right? That time it's even get more important. Okay, clear? Data exploration steps. Fine. Let's get going. So now there is something called handling dates. So if you might have observed, जब आप data type check करोगे one by one, so there is something called what was the column name? Melbourne date D type. So there was a date column, I believe. Yeah, this is the date column. So as you can see, it is object. Basically, it is a string. तो आप values भी देख सकते हो. Simply आप mel date, तो आप देखोगे इस तरीके से है. तो you know that you have to convert it into a date type. We just saw that option, right? PD to date type. So that wise you can have to convert it, because here you are seeing the data type for this is object. Okay, in order to use date time specific function for pandas, we need to convert into the appropriate format. एंड द इजीएस्ट वे इज सिंपली आप मेल डेट डेट को पीडी टू डेट टाइम को आप कन्वर्ट कर दो, दैट्स ऑल. आफ्टर कन्वर्जन यू कैन सी, let's say when I did this, right, and after conversion, as you can see, it has been come into the right format, and data type, as you can see here, it is date time now. Earlier it was object. Okay, so you saw in exploration, you checked one by one whether my data type is correct or not, and you take this call. हो सकता है कि यहाँ पर मान लीजिए ये numbers जो हैं price, it could be in object also, right? You never know. So you have to convert into a numerical thing. So you could have done pd dot to numeric and give this column. Similarly, pd dot, you can check what are other things are there, right? To underscore. So you have date time, you have numeric, you have time delta, you have pickle also. So mostly data time, date time and numeric you use for conversion. And if you want to convert into characteristics, you can say that dot h type character. Okay, so we did the data conversion. Right, then changing data type. So in addition to dates, we may need to do some other data type conversion as well. So in this case, we'll be storing integers as float. So for instance, the property column in our data set is stored as float, but it should be integer. So for example, यहाँ पर एक property count करके column है, right? So let's see this, what is that column, right? So you can say property count. As you can see, it's some kind of a property count, right? I'm not sure why this is such a high number, but typically it's an integer, it's not a float. As you can see here, data type is float, right? तो अगर आप टू न्यूमेरिक करोगे तो सेम ही रहेगा, क्योंकि इंटीजर हो या न्यूमेरिक हो, इट इज न्यूमेरिक, राइट? इंटीजर हो या फ्लोट हो, बोथ आर न्यूमेरिक. So that's why you have to specifically mention that make it as an integer, not float. तो उसके लिए ये कमांड है, simply as type integer. So as type integer कर सकते हो, and after converting you will see वो zeros हट गए, क्योंकि float मतलब decimal numbers, integer मतलब whole number. Now it has been converted into a whole number. Okay, then you have replacing values. So let's say another common operation is to replace values, right? The type column contains three distinct values. We can make these values more informative by replacing them this. Okay, so let's say there is this type column also, right? So let's see what is this type column first. So I see there is this string type object and there are some types, right? So what is the best way to do about it is आप value counts कर सकते हो इसका. Any of the categorical column you do the value counts. So what it tells is there are three levels, right? तो H है वो 9000 times आ रहा है, U है वो 3000 times आ रहा है, and T है 1000 times आ रहा है, right? So always remember, when you do the data analysis, right, only data is not sufficient. You should have some knowledge of domain experience also. So domain knowledge is also important. So for example, in this case, I should know what is this type means. I should know what is this H means. I should know what is this U means, right? So if you at least try from your end, if you can get that information. If it is not possible, then it's fine. Then you try to derive something meaningful. Like maybe let's say you try this with prices and see, is there any particular type of house which are more expensive than other kind of a type thing, right? Those kind of things you can do and try to relate with something. But let's say if you do know it upfront, then definitely you should make use of it, right? So for example, in this case, if you already know that this H means house, U means unit, T means townhouse, right? तो ऐसा हो सकता है, right? मतलब house है तो हो सकता है apartment kind of a thing हो, मतलब individual house हो. U मतलब unit होगा तो maybe it's a kind of a apartment type of a thing. Townhouse मतलब थोड़ा और बड़ा तरीके का house हो, right? So you can simply those map replace those things. So either you can do replace, or we learned map function also, right? So these kind of mapping functions you can do. Simply मेल्प टाइप को आप रिप्लेस कर रहे हो डिक्शनरी देके एच को हाउस में, यू को यूनिट से, और ये. तो जब आप इसको यूनिक करोगे या इसका आप वैल्यू काउंट करोगे, यू विल गेट दिस वैल्यू. सो यूनिक से यू कैन गेट व्हाट इज द यूनिक वैल्यूज इन दिस, एंड वैल्यू काउंट से आप उसको काउंट में मिल जाएगा. तो फॉर एग्जांपल इन हियर, इंस्टेड ऑफ वैल्यू काउंट, आई कुड हैव डन यूनिक आल्सो. So with that, I will just get what is the unique value. I will not get counts. If you want to know the counts, you have to do value counts. Clear? Any questions so far? No? I hope I am audible and my screen is visible. Okay, cool. Fine. So then we have this category data type also. So for example, I have this typical data set contains both numerical and categorical column, right? So categorical column are usually stored with object data type. If the number of distinct categories are very few compared to number of rows, we can save a substantial amount of memory by using category data type. So our data contains 13,580 rows. The number of categories in the type column is 3. So let's first check the memory consumption. Okay, so we are learning here uh, one very important thing, right? So let's be patient over here, right? So as you can see here, the memory uses over here is this much. इसका मतलब क्या है कि ये पर्टिकुलर कॉलम कितना मेमोरी ले रहा है. Let me show it over here in my case system also. As you can see here, it is taking this much of memory, only this column, type column. Okay, now as I was telling you, it is a string, right? Even though it's a string, but it's a category column, right? It's a different category. H house is a different category, unit is a different category, townhouse is a different category. So you should be converting into a categorical column. And how you can do? Simply as type category. So let me show you this. Okay, तो मैंने इसको सिंपली टाइप को वापस से रिप्लेस कर दिया एज टाइप कैटेगरी करके. एंड नाउ आई विल शो यू द मेमोरी यूसेज. यू सी हाउ मच इट हैज रिड्यूस्ड, ऑलमोस्ट 10 टाइम्स. तो अगर मैं आपको अब ये कॉलम दिखाऊं, what is this column look like? It is just like that. It's just that data type change हो गया. तो earlier data type was object, here data type was object, now it is category and it has 3 different levels. तो अगर मैं अब इसका unique करूंगी, it's still gonna be the same thing. Okay. Just that category हो गया है object का and there are 3 objects. That's all. Value counts भी work करेगा इस पे. It's not like it won't work. So that's why it's always preferable that you actually convert into a category thing rather than what do you say, as object, because of the memory uses. It takes less memory as you have converted into a category. Okay, that is another important thing. Then you have extracting information from dates, so that you can do. So let's say I want to do some analysis based on monthly basis only. So I could have created a new column called month, जिसमें कि मैंने डेट देके simply .dt.month. We saw this, right, when we were learning about date time thing. So you can simply get the month of this column, right? Similarly आप weekday ले सकते हो, whether what was the, whether it was a weekday or not, starting from 0. Okay, so likewise you can extract the information from the date. Similarly, you can extract information from text also. So we just saw some text operation, right? String replacement, addition, concatenation, uh, 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 splitting. So as you here you can see, textual data usually contain multiple pieces of information. Right, just like we have done with dates, we may need to extract a piece of information from text also. So str of the pandas provide numerous operations. So for example, in this case address hai, तो address से the last character represents type of location, right? So for instance, ST stand for street, DR stands for drive. So it can be a useful piece of information, right? Because it may happen that if it is in street, it might be cheaper as compared to drive. We don't know that, right? We have to check it. So for that, you should know that there is such thing exists. So that's why you need a domain knowledge. Okay, so let's say if you have this domain knowledge, then you should know how to do it. Simply आप उसको split कर सकते हो and you can extract the last part of it. So what I did, simply I did the str split, correct? str split किया तो of course जहां भी spaces होगा, क्योंकि मैंने spaces split किया है, all those different splits I got. But I am only interested in the last part, so I can simply do str minus 1. So when we were doing indexing, right, that time I told that अगर आपको लास्ट पार्ट का लोकेशन एक्सेस करना है, you can do that with -1, or if you want to start from beginning, you can do 0, 1, 2. But the problem with starting from starting is I don't know that how many splits there gonna be. There could, so in this case there are three, in this case there are three. So at least in this cases there are three, but it may happen that there are just two only. There is just one single space, maybe Charles and ST, right? So I don't know if I start from zero, what is the last number. But I know for sure, because I am interested in only in the last part, so directly get it last part using -1. As you can see here, with this address I have got this new column. Either you can save it in the new same column, or you can put it in a different column. Okay, so a minus means last one, that's all. So you have got this new extra information. So that's how you can extract information from the date or from the text column, whatever you want. Okay, again, this is also a very important step. Any confusion so far? Yes, this is also part of a data analysis, right? So see, whether it is a text column or it's a numerical column, right? It is part of your data, isn't it? तो अगर आप उससे इंफॉर्मेशन निकाल रहे हो तो इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ योर डेटा एनालिसिस आल्सो. Okay, so I'm not sure, Priyanka, why you wrote no, ma'am. uh, is there any question or queries you want to ask? Okay, no doubts, perfect. Good. ठीक है, let's get going then we have the 7th step over there is standardize the textual data. तो अगेन राइट, हम स्टैंडर्डाइज कर सकते हैं क्योंकि अभी यहाँ पे कुछ लोअर था, कुछ अपर केस था, राइट? तो आई कुड हैव सिंपली डू column name and do a str dot upper. I could have done the lower also, or I could have done the capitalization also. Another option is capitalize. So first letter capital रहेगा, बाकी सब small रहेगा. So this kind of operations also you can perform. Okay, so typically these are the major 7 typical operations that has been performed or be typically encountered in the data wrangling process. And this is, trust me, this is the most important step and most time taken step. Why I'm saying time taken? Because आपको एक exactly one by one, you have to go through the column names, you have to see whether everything in a proper format or not. And this is very crucial also, क्योंकि अगर आप इस जगह पे wrong हो, if you have not selected your data properly, if you have not converted your data properly, trust me, आपका analysis आगे सही नहीं होगा. तो don't underestimate the power of this step. Don't think like ये useful useless है, मैं को इतना time spend नहीं करना चाहिए. Like, to give you an example, if I have got a project of with a deadline of 5 days, right? I will I prefer spending my time with data and just in data exploration and cleaning and all these steps, right, for at least 2 days. 2 days completely I take my time to understand the data, to do the data exploration, to get as much as information I can. Then only I move on to next steps like for data modeling and all. Because agar mera foundation, this is the foundation. If my foundation is strong and clear, building a data, it's not going to take time, trust me. And that's why I am putting so much emphasis on this step, that I have dedicated 2 entire days. So tomorrow also will be, I'll be taking you through a few more case studies like this. You have already learned all the possible data analysis step. Now you are not going to learn only that rolling thing. I have to clarify you again, so that I will do it tomorrow. But the whole point is to show you and to show you multiple examples that what all other things are possible where it is used, right? So that's the whole point, and that's why we are spending so much time on just reading blogs. You can think like I'm just not teaching you properly, I'm just walking you through the blogs, but I think that is the best way to learn. Because even if I'm not there tomorrow, you can learn at your own. So I'm just trying to teach you how you can learn at your own. Okay, fine. So with that, we will stop it for today, because there are two more blocks and another EDA. We call it as exploratory data analysis. EDA session I will take tomorrow. So I want to stop it for now. So if you guys have any questions or queries, we can clarify that. No queries, no questions. Okay. Uh, Great then. Thank you so much, guys, for your time. Have a good day ahead. And I think I have not received any recommend. I mean, any of the feedback in my LinkedIn profile. So I would really appreciate if you can spend some 5 minutes and give your valuable feedback over there. If you think I have added some value, it would be really helpful if you can provide your feedback. However, it is whether it is positive or negative, right? So please do that. And yeah, then I hope already you have my LinkedIn profile link. So thank you so much for your time and see talk to you tomorrow.